It really started with an interest in the electric vehicle industry. While most people and companies were focused on how to scale up and build the technology, um, myself and my co-founder were really interested in what happens to these batteries afterward. We knew there was a lot of high reuse potential. We knew there was going to also be a high demand for energy storage for renewables. So we wanted to find out if there was a possibility to reuse electric vehicles for stationary applications at their end of life. From that early research, because we were both involved in low emissions consultancies at that time in the UK, we realized one of the key issues was actually how the batteries were made. They weren't designed with any consideration for end of life at the end of their lifespan. As a result, it was really hard to reuse the batteries. So we took that insight and we reimagined, what if you made a battery with a full life cycle in mind? A battery that's designed to be produced, repaired, repurposed, and easily recycled. And that's actually where the origin of aceleron came from, where we wanted to redesign how we make a battery to enable a more sustainable life cycle. When we think about the global transition to clean energy, the key word there is global. For the transition to really happen, everybody needs to be able to participate. It's not just about the well-off countries. So for us, it was quite important to develop a solution. This is where it's really interesting from an engineering point of view. Think about your solution not just in a developed context, but an emerging context. What do emerging markets need to gain access to or be able to leverage a technology? So we took a simple concept based on a fundamental problem. Batteries were not made to facilitate reuse, repair, or recycling. We thought about how you could assemble batteries in a way that makes it easy to assemble them, disassemble them, to enable these things. While developing that, we thought about what tools and what skills are accessible or existing in emerging markets that we could build our battery around. Simple fasteners that are readily available, fastening techniques that are already very familiar, methods of distribution that exist in emerging markets as well, and avoiding really flashy, expensive technology and embedding that into our products has been a really key component. And one thing living in the Caribbean has taught me is how to work with the hand you're dealt. You have a set of resources. This is what you have. You need to learn how to be very crafty with the resources you have. And it has really been a real strong point and a really useful mindset to have, because oftentimes people say, "Oh, I'd like to do this, but I don't have X, Y, and Z." Well, what do you have and what can you do with what you have? That's such a more positive spin to put on things as opposed to focusing on what you don't have. Because most of the time, we do start life with different resources, but we don't start life with absolutely nothing. We just start with different cards. Think of it like a game of poker. Not that I'm advocating gambling, but we all get the concept of having being dealt different hands. It doesn't necessarily mean you can't make a certain contribution or progress a certain state because you didn't get that ace that you wanted in your hand. You might need to play the cards a little bit different, but a big part of playing the cards a bit different starts here, which is that whole mindset of working with the hand that you're dealt. So I would definitely say that's one thing the Caribbean market has taught me. And the European market, I think collaboration has been one really strong point that the European market has really kind of honed in. You can only get so far working by yourself and operating in isolate. Really having conversations with different partners and seeing your competitors less like competitors and more like colleagues in the same space, especially when it's an early or emergent market, is a far better mindset to have. You learn a lot faster. You get a lot further as well with that collaborative mindset. It's all about starting to see, as a global citizen, what is it I can contribute, while I'm here. It doesn't matter how long you're here. It's just a question of what can I contribute while I'm here. What you want to contribute, you might ask. Because as a global citizen, your existence is consumption. We like to point at big companies and governments and organizations, but a human life is consumption. You consume resources just by your existence. So the least you can do is contribute a little something while you're here. And when you start seeing your life like that, it does change your perspective. It gives you a real sense of purpose, a reason to get up in the morning, regardless of what the news was yesterday. And another thing that's always important is to look at what are the opportunities out there. Aceleron, we are hiring. We're always looking for people really excited, young and old, who want to contribute something. And we're not the only ones. There are lots of other companies out there looking for people who want to make a contribution within the time they have.